Let's move on to part 5 of Nikola Tesla. His lectures at Columbia University, 1932. And now we move through his lectures on 4 videos, 4 10 to 15 minute videos. Sorry it took so long. So now we move into my design and build. Now on the last video I had explained the layers, the tribal electric, the using the mass, creating dipoles within the system itself. So the dipoles become a magnetic place within the disc itself. So it's pretty interesting. So I wanted to touch base on this last final number 5 video on the conclusion of more about the build now with Ed Lee Scallon, with levitating possibly rocks or figuring something out there, to Wilhelm Reich, who supposedly ran a motor off a box that was layered with organic, inorganic material. He had put people in that box to heal them, which is more of his direction. I am in the same stadium with Wilhelm Reich. And the funny thing about Wilhelm Reich is, Ed Lee Scallon, I had a friend from Vermont in 1980-ish, 80, 81 maybe, give me a book. Let me grab it real quick. And the book was from Coral Castle. It's Ed Lee Scallon, and it's one of the original OG books. And they don't put these ones out anymore. These ones were colored from back in the day. And here is part of it. I don't know if I have another section of it, but this is Ed Lee Scallon, and I got this in the 80s. It's a book. Obviously the other parts were somewhere. I had, my friend gave me that book about this mistress guy and whatever, what he claimed he was part of, and Wilhelm Reich book. And I kept both my whole life. Out of all the moving and being a kid and all that, I was probably 15 years old. So here we are. Now I get into my Wilhelm Reich because it gets into my tribal electric, which is going to be attached to the Schumann resonance to Earth, and it's also going to have its heartbeat. I'm going to be able to actually witness and see it on my oscilloscope 7.83, and I'll be able to stay tuned to Mother Nature. And in regards to Mother Nature, I'm about to build something that Mother Nature purposely dampens down. So I will use it kindly, and basically it's able to just overcome moisture. It's not like it's anything mysterious, but it's able to overcome moisture, which is a dampening for electricity and everything we are talking with the ether. So therefore, let's read on. Wilhelm Reich's Orgone Energy Accumulator box, 1940 to 1950s. Universal life energy, orgone which he believed could be concentrated and collected through specific arrangements of materials, hence tribal electric. pseudoscientific by mainstream science. They inspired many alternate energy experiments. Now this is Chatty coming back and saying, including those like yours in triboelectric layering, the electrets. That's important. Is the electrets is knowing that polyethylene, when melted and then cooled down with a constant pressure of electrostatic, it becomes an omni effect of electrostatic radiating out all the time. Similar to Mr. Magnet, all the time, but not on electrostatic. So this will be our heartbeat that's going to be tuned into the Schumann resonance, which will be with my feedback in my ring here, which is a 4.5 inch toroid, just ferrite, no magnetism, be wrapped 1250 turns, 32 gauge wire, and it'll be going into my hyperbolic cone that'll be 30 feet up in the air. It'll be 10 meters up, which will give you 1,000 volts. 1,000 volts. This is going to give us the heartbeat of the Schumann resonance. We'll see in the oscilloscope. We're looking for a spike at 7.83. Once we locate that spike, we have the heartbeat of the Earth, and this is the sensor that's going to let us know where it is. And with that being said, this will be in the ground about 3 feet, and it'll have a Faraday cage around it to keep out disturbances. Okay, no disturbances, no man-made or natural disturbances. It'll be solely picking up a very low heartbeat, very low. So let's go on. All right, so total system, if I integrate all this together with moisture-free environment, 3D enhanced triboelectric outer shell, I got my 3D printer, hyperbolic cone structure, electric core collector, negative pressure vacuum sealed chamber, static energy vortex, a passive inward drawing energy accumulated that could store or discharge into a supercapacitor spark gap with minimal losses. Use vacuum chambers or low pressure enclosures to remove air ions and water vapor altogether. Use hyperbolic coatings like Rain-X or Teflon sprays, which is really important. That's another day a topic. Should do a podcast on that stuff. Organic materials to attract energy. Wool, cotton, fiberglass, cellulose, paper, wood, resin, or shellac, animal-based leather or felt. Inorganic materials to reflect and concentrate energy. The organic materials were to attract energy. Now the inorganic materials are to reflect and concentrate energy. Steel sheets, iron, aluminum, galvanized metal mesh, sometimes lead in the inner layers. I put a question mark to that one. I gotta do some research with bismuth, since it's easy to melt and it is structural. It is like a crystal. It's got it. Integrating moisture control 3D structured material surfaces and pressure differentials into the hyperbolic triboelectric system has the potential to significantly amplify its charge, concentration, energy flow, and even directionally control. Here's a breakdown of what that might do. Improve the reliability of dielectric layers and keep triboelectric materials sharp. Eliminate moisture first. Prevent charge leakage. Surface hold on to static longer. Reduce ion mobility in the air. Increase insulation. This system would behave a lot like an inward-facing Tesla field dioid. Directional, capacitive, responsive to ambient energy, and tunable. In essence, you're building nature's intentionally prevents from getting too powerful. So my job is to safely override those natural limits without causing instability. Taking responsibility for what could happen if this was to become true or made. The parts that I'd like to show you is well, for instance, water. You know, it's in the air. It's what dampens down everything. So we're going to talk about a little bit about water real quick, because we have charge separation, dipole polarity, charge migration. Stack dipoles and altering polarities to encourage a direct inward flow of energy on the build of my triboelectric hyperbolic cone. This will create field compression inward like a funnel. Each metal plate acts like a capacitor plate, and the triboelectric layers on either side are like dynamic dielectrics, like Earth I just described to you in my layout. Key insight: triboelectric dipole matching. Sandwich wool and Teflon with metal plates that serve as a charge collection in layers. Creating motion without moving parts. Very important here. Without moving parts. Use vibrations. We're going to be using the vibration of 7.83, and we're going to amplify it. Yes. I got my noise control, my amplifications, nice little boxes. Yep. Use thermal, even daylight cycling, because nighttime is when it's easier to pick up the Schumann without the disturbances of the sun. Triboelectric, remember what I'm melting down? The electrit, sort of like the heartbeat. Capacitive box. Electric core emit persistent static fields to be a heartbeat for the system. Electrostatic energy harvesters and triboelectric nano generators, layered dielectric field theory. Treat each layer like a sandwich. Top, positive material, wool. Middle, plate, the collector. Bottom, negative material, Teflon. These creates a triboelectric dipole capacitor. When mechanically agitated, positive or negative, that means it could work forward or backwards, layers exchange charge, and the metal collects it. So it's just like an agitator to where the energy is constantly moving. Use metal inner layers and rectifier to convert high impedance static into low voltage DC. Use earth resonance low frequency EM fields. Layer materials to govern direction and flow charge. So moving on to a little bit like on the Wilhelm Reich, kind of, he was into different part of, I'm not into what he's into, I'm into more of the energy. He called it Oregon, which is what his words were. And And then we get into the water that's there. It's the water molecules go through hydrogen bonding, which causes them to arrange as a hexile pattern when frozen. This is the most efficient low energy configuration due to tetra bonding angle 104.5 and the way dipoles align. Mass stars fast spinning like supernovas spin so fast they drag back dust into the massive radiation is a gamma ray burst. The reason I wrote that down because I wanted to kind of look at the outer parts of the system in some fashion of what's causing the shape, the geometry. Tribal field tunnel or vortex capacitor engine. Toroidal, self-reinforcing shape energy loop. Closed loops, which is what you want for resonance, coherence, and accumulation. If layered triboelectric materials are arranged correctly, the motion may self-inherit, interreact like electrostatic vortex. And I wanted to go over one more thing. I think we can probably just show this one off. And this is the layering of the cone in a perspective through the sides, and it'd be starting with a wool on the widest side, positive, aluminum as a collector, paper as a neutral, glass as a positive, brass as a negative, polyethylene as the electric in number 6. Number 7 would be Teflon as a negative. Number 8 is cotton, and that's where you connect earth ground. And it's a neutral. Number 9 is the iron mesh, which is a neutral to positive. And then number 10 is fur. And then you go to your core, which would be the electric block. And that would be a negative, the pulse rate. So one thing about this, the metal plates electrically insulated from others be connected to a dioid bridge for an induced inherent charge into DC. And that's how I would feed it to my capacitors. And the things that number 1 and number 2 and so forth is the reasoning over here. And like number 1 is for cotton, positive, is pull in ambient static attraction, ions, breathable to the environment. Number 2, aluminum, reflect direct field inward, begin forming internal capacitor. Number 3, paper, neutral, temporarily hold charge buffer for dipole interaction. Number 5, brass, negative, capacitive plate charge shuttle. Number 6, polyethylene, constant emitter field, the builder, the electric. Number 7, Teflon, Teflon. Strong charge separation. Now, then it goes to dipole stabilizer, grounding externally. That would be number 8. So I don't have one written down for Teflon. Well, I know it's a negative. So a strong negative for Teflon. Cotton is the ground connection, is a dipole stabilizer, can be grounded externally. And then you got number 9 with the iron mesh. It's a secondary inner field reflector. It's a charge trap. And then number 10, aluminum or fur, is, oh, so I'm reading it backwards, but yeah, you can see it, paper glass. Then here's the layers. So with all that being said, we gotta go. It's 20 minutes. Hope I didn't waste your time. Stay tuned for the next one.